This is an artificially aware original production.
Artificially aware, so we're sorry, Orderback 201
Imagine this. You're sitting alone, logged onto a CIA server, staring at a database straight out of a conspiracy thriller. This isn't some rogue dark web operation. No, I'm talking about actual CIA documents, files recovered from Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad. It's November 2017. The agency has just released materials they seized, and you're flipping through the digital evidence. Everything from military intel to family messages. And then, tucked between them like a well-kept secret, you see it. Fritz Springmeier's Bloodlines of the Illuminati. I had to double-check, maybe triple-check. Was I really reading about hidden elites controlling our world on a CIA server? You almost expect the file to self-delete. If you think I'm making this up, type November 2017 release of Abbottabad compound material into Google. This was no fever dream. And today, we're diving into Springmeier's controversial expose. 21 chapters through the shadowy corridors of power he insists are held by ancient bloodlines. Let's crack it open, layer by layer, and see what they really don't want you to know. What is it about the Illuminati that makes us lean in, that irresistible pull toward the shadows of history? There's something chillingly eternal about the idea, figures cloaked in power, orchestrating the world from afar. It's not just another conspiracy theory, it's a lens that reframes everything, from political crises to financial systems to media manipulation. Historically, the notion of shadowy control dates back centuries, even millennia, because humans have always feared hidden rulers, whispers of powerful families and mysterious councils shaping history from the sidelines. Today, the Illuminati concept has evolved into the ultimate symbol for unseen power, encompassing everything from banking cartels to tech moguls, blending fiction and fact into one intoxicating brew of suspicion. Whether it's our growing mistrust of governments or a sense that we're pawns in a larger game, the idea of a hidden hand pulls at something primal within us. And this isn't mere paranoia, it's a survival instinct. Springmeier's book taps into this universal unease, capturing that tantalizing question of whether the world really is as democratic, as free as it appears to be. The Illuminati weren't always a conspiracy theory. They were real, documented, and organized. It all began with the Bavarian Illuminati, founded on May 1st, 1776, by Adam Weishaupt. This group wasn't about world domination, at least not at first. Weishaupt's Illuminati aimed to challenge oppressive religious and political systems, promoting Enlightenment values like rationalism, knowledge, and human rights. Their structure was classic: hierarchies, secretive rituals, and coded correspondences. But after a few years, Bavarian authorities dismantled the Illuminati, officially erasing them from history, or so we thought. The Illuminati didn't disappear. It was woven into other secret societies, particularly the Freemasons, carrying on its ethos of secrecy and influence. Over time, the term Illuminati evolved from a historical society into a catch-all for elite groups accused of wielding unchecked power. Today, Springmeier claims the Illuminati have morphed into a shadow oligarchy, with lineage-based power structures controlling politics, economics, and culture. This isn't the Bavarian Illuminati's vision of intellectual enlightenment. It's a global empire, the scaffolding of a new world order. So what drives Fritz Springmeier? Why write a book so polarizing that it hovers between enlightenment and heresy? Springmeier's mission is bold, to awaken the masses from what he sees as a manufactured reality. He's not interested in idle speculation. He's out to expose, to pull back the veil. This book is written for a wide audience: conspiracy theorists, skeptics, the disenfranchised, anyone with that quiet suspicion that the world isn't what it seems. But Springmeier doesn't just want to inform, he wants to galvanize, to shake his readers out of complacency. Each page is crafted to build an argument that power isn't held by elected officials or public figures, but by families who've guarded their influence over centuries. His style is relentless, meant to hit readers with hard facts and bold assertions. Springmeier's ultimate goal is to arm his readers with knowledge, making them aware of the elite bloodlines that he claims are actively shaping the future. He's not after passive readers, he's rallying soldiers in an intellectual war. Now, what's all this about bloodlines? To Springmeier, the concept of bloodlines isn't some romanticized lineage. It's the glue holding the Illuminati together. These families aren't just wealthy or influential, they're hereditary rulers of a shadow empire. Springmeier argues that the Illuminati's power doesn't rest on money alone, but on genetics, on family lines meticulously preserved through controlled marriages and intergenerational grooming. Imagine a web that stretches back centuries, tying today's world leaders to ancient monarchs, noble families, and perhaps even mythic roots. Each Illuminati family allegedly passes down secrets, wealth, and influence, ensuring continuity of control. According to Springmeier, bloodlines aren't just a means of inheritance, they're a mode of control, each family weaving a narrative that cements their position at the top while binding future generations to the same unwavering allegiance. In his framework, bloodlines represent both history and destiny, with each member of these families born into a role as custodians of a hidden empire. How do these families retain such absolute power? Springmeier points to a simple but powerful strategy: alliances. This isn't some Hollywood romance. These marriages are deliberate mergers, calculated moves to fuse fortunes, political influence, and cultural capital. When John F. Kennedy married Jacqueline Bouvier, it wasn't just the union of two people, it was the merging of two dynasties. Later, when she married Aristotle Onasis, that wasn't just a second chance at love. It was an alignment of American political royalty with European financial power. According to Springmeier, these alliances are deliberate, strengthening the network and consolidating influence across industries and continents. But it doesn't stop at marriage. These families are tightly knit in boardrooms, through shared investments, exclusive clubs, and of course secret societies where future generations are groomed for leadership. Each handshake, each partnership, is another link in a chain of control, reinforcing an unbreakable network that is invisible to the uninitiated, but ironclad in its structure. Let's get specific. Enter the Aster family, one of the original American dynasties, and, according to Springmeier, a cornerstone of the Illuminati network. John Jacob Astor, the family patriarch, made his fortune in the fur trade and later real estate, cementing the Astors as one of the wealthiest and most influential families in early America. But Springmeier argues that the Astors' influence wasn't limited to wealth. They wielded their fortune to control cultural and political arenas. They funded arts, media, and education, not out of mere philanthropy, but as a calculated move to shape public consciousness. With their fingers on the pulse of American culture, the Astors could subtly influence societal norms and narratives, shaping the very fabric of thought. According to Springmeier, this wasn't just about building a legacy, it was about building a system of control that could sway everything from political decisions to social movements. The Astors, he claims, are an integral piece of the Illuminati puzzle, representing the convergence of wealth, culture, and covert influence. Enter the Bundy family, a name that doesn't carry the immediate gravitas of a Rockefeller or an Astor, but according to Springmeier, they are no less essential to the Illuminati's influence over American governance. The Bundys didn't go for the obvious power structures of wealth and celebrity. Instead, they embedded themselves deeply into the American political and intelligence apparatus. McGeorge Bundy, for example, served as National Security Advisor to Presidents Kennedy and Johnson, placing him at the nerve center of U.S. foreign policy during the height of the Cold War. Springmeier claims that McGeorge was more than just an advisor. He was a handler, maneuvering American interests not for the country's benefit, but for the secret agenda of the Illuminati. According to Springmeier, Bundy's influence permeated decisions ranging from Vietnam to the nuclear arms race, shaping U.S. policy to align with the global ambitions of an elite network. This family doesn't operate in the spotlight. They prefer to control the stagehands, not the actors. Through intelligence channels, think tanks, and high-level advisory roles, the Bundys exemplify what Springmeier considers the Illuminati's deep state, a network of operatives who keep the machinery of control well-oiled and out of sight. Then there's the Collins family, a name Springmeier associates with the occult arm of the Illuminati. This isn't about boardrooms or political offices. According to Springmeier, the Collins family represents the Illuminati's deeper, darker connection to hidden rituals and arcane practices. Their influence, he argues, lies in their alleged mastery of mystical and occult traditions, practices that have supposedly been part of their lineage for centuries. Springmeier even claims they have ties to the Salem witch trials, hinting that the Collins family's involvement in America's early mystical and esoteric circles granted them a unique power, one that operates through cultural manipulation rather than traditional means. In his view, this isn't superstition, it's strategic. The Collinses allegedly use their influence to promote occult ideas subtly, weaving mystical symbols, themes, and ideologies into modern culture. Whether it's through literature, film, or even New Age spirituality, Springmeier claims the Collins family steers the public consciousness toward Illuminati-approved ideologies, effectively turning the occult into a tool of control. The Collinses, he suggests, represent the spiritual backbone of the Illuminati, a family that brings ancient knowledge into the modern age to shape minds and, by extension, societies. If the Collins family represents the spiritual side, then the DuPonts are the muscle, industrial giants who, according to Springmeier, command influence through America's chemical and military sectors. The DuPont family dynasty began with E.I. DuPont, who founded a gunpowder company in the early 19th century, a business that would evolve into a cornerstone of the American military-industrial complex. Springmeier argues that the DuPonts didn't just make their fortune from war, they engineered war, pushing policies and fostering conflicts that drove demand for their products. By the 20th century, DuPont had expanded into chemicals, creating everything from nylon to Teflon, and thus embedding themselves into American life on an industrial scale. But Springmeier claims this was more than business, it was strategy. Through their economic control, the DuPonts allegedly hold sway over environmental policies, scientific research, and military technologies. Springmeier even suggests that they have influenced governmental policies to suit their interests, from World War I through to the Cold War, cementing their role as Illuminati power players. In his view, the DuPonts are more than just industrialists. They're engineers of control, using their products to embed influence in the everyday lives of millions. The Kennedys need no introduction, but Springmeier's portrayal of them as part of the Illuminati is anything but straightforward. According to him, the Kennedys were initially brought into the Illuminati fold due to their wealth and influence, effectively American royalty. Joe Kennedy, the family patriarch, built a fortune in finance and bootlegging, giving his children every advantage money could buy. But Springmeier contends that John F. Kennedy broke ranks. He believes JFK's progressive ideas about reforming the Federal Reserve and resisting certain military-industrial pressures didn't sit well with the Illuminati elite. Springmeier claims that JFK's assassination was not just a national tragedy, it was a punishment, a warning to anyone within these circles who dares to stray from the script. And the tragedies didn't end with JFK. Robert Kennedy, another rising political star, was assassinated, and subsequent generations of Kennedys faced a series of misfortunes that many interpret as a Kennedy curse. Springmeier argues that these tragedies were orchestrated by the Illuminati, a method to keep the family in line, to remind them of the consequences of disobedience. In his view, the Kennedys are emblematic of the Illuminati's ruthlessness, a reminder that even the powerful aren't immune from punishment. In Asia, the Lee family stands as one of the most powerful Illuminati bloodlines, according to Springmeier. He describes the Lists as having extensive influence over Chinese financial and political systems, with power extending far beyond China's borders. The Lee family is reportedly embedded within the Communist Party's highest echelons, having a hand in everything from banking to technology. Their influence isn't limited to domestic policy. Springmeier claims they have significant holdings in multinational corporations, giving them leverage over global markets. Through their financial networks, the Lee family is said to facilitate the Illuminati's control over Asia, creating a bridge between Eastern and Western spheres of influence. Springmeier even suggests that the Lee family's role within the Illuminati is unique, serving as a liaison between East and West, ensuring that Asia remains integrated within the broader New World Order framework. They don't just wield power, they shape economies, policies, and ultimately the cultural integration of the East into a global system dominated by Illuminati values. To Springmeier, the lists represent the Illuminati's ambition on a global scale, seamlessly bridging political ideologies to serve a higher agenda. Then we have the Onasis family, a name synonymous with wealth, luxury, and strategic alliances. Aristotle Onasis wasn't just a shipping magnate. He was a global power player whose marriage to Jacqueline Kennedy wasn't merely a love story, but, according to Springmeier, a strategic alliance. The Onasis family's grip on global trade, specifically through shipping, gave them unprecedented control over the movement of goods and resources worldwide. This isn't just about money, it's about influence over the arteries of global commerce. Springmeier claims that Aristotle Onasis used his shipping empire to support and further Illuminati interests, from controlling oil routes to facilitating covert operations. His marriage to Jacqueline Kennedy, widow of the assassinated U.S. president, was seen by many as the merging of two powerhouses, American political royalty and European financial clout. In Springmeier's view, the Onasis family represents the Illuminati's control over global trade, a family that understands the importance of moving goods, people, and by extension, ideas across borders. The Onasis legacy isn't just in shipping, it's in their ability to navigate and control international waters, both literally and figuratively. Lastly, we reach the Rockefellers, a family whose name is practically synonymous with power, wealth, and influence. John D. Rockefeller founded Standard Oil in the late 19th century, building a monopoly so vast that it effectively placed him in control of American industry. But Springmeier argues that the Rockefellers' influence extends far beyond oil. Through their vast wealth, they gained control over banking, healthcare, and even environmental policies. The Rockefeller Foundation, established in 1913, has funded everything from public health initiatives to educational reforms, but Springmeier views these as vehicles for a hidden agenda. He claims the Rockefellers use philanthropy to shape social policies, guiding public opinion and governmental priorities in ways that align with Illuminati goals. Their influence in the healthcare sector, for example, allegedly allows them to steer global health initiatives, effectively controlling public health narratives and funding research that serves their interests. And when it comes to environmentalism, Springmeier argues that the Rockefellers were instrumental in pushing the climate agenda, not out of altruism, but as a strategy for controlling resources under the guise of ecological concern. To Springmeier, the Rockefellers aren't merely wealthy, they are architects of social control, shaping the modern world one policy at a time. The Rothschild family, just the name alone can stir up images of shadowy financial power and quiet, unbreakable influence. According to Springmeier, if there's a nucleus to the Illuminati's control over global finance, the Rothschilds are it. This family's influence began in the late 18th century, when Meyer Amschel Rothschild laid the foundations of a banking dynasty in Frankfurt. By the 19th century, the Rothschild family had established banking branches in London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples, creating a network that effectively allowed them to finance governments, fund wars, and manipulate economies across Europe. Springmeier claims that the Rothschilds leveraged their banking empire not just to accumulate wealth, but to consolidate control. By extending loans to monarchs and nations alike, the Rothschilds allegedly gained influence over state policies and war outcomes, shaping the political landscape behind the scenes. In Springmeier's view, this isn't just wealth, it's power as pure as it gets, a financial web spun so tight that it's become invisible to the average person. Today, he argues, the Rothschild family still holds a central role in manipulating global financial systems, a force that works from the shadows, ensuring that no major economic shift happens without their hand in it. The Russell family may not be as famous as the Rockefellers or Rothschilds, but Springmeier argues their influence is profound, especially through their connections to Yale's secret society, Skull and Bones. Founded by William Huntington Russell in 1832, Skull and Bones has long been a breeding ground for America's elite, churning out future presidents, CEOs, and influential political figures. According to Springmeier, the Russell family's influence goes even deeper. They allegedly amassed a fortune from the opium trade in the 19th century, fueling both their own wealth and America's burgeoning economy. This influence, Springmeier claims, extends into U.S. education, where the Russells and their Skull and Bones allies shaped the minds of young elites, training them to serve the Illuminati's interests. Skull and Bones isn't just a social club in Springmeier's eyes. It's a secret training ground where the future power players are groomed to uphold an agenda that serves the interests of the Illuminati. To him, the Russells embody the insidious side of influence, the quiet molding of minds, and the deliberate shaping of the future elite in service of a shadow empire. Then there's the Van Dyne family, a bloodline tied not to wealth or political power directly, but to health, science, and what Springmeier claims is a disturbing ambition: population control. Springmeier argues that the Van Dyne family has its hand in scientific research institutions and pharmaceutical companies, subtly influencing the direction of public health policies. He suggests that through their investments in genetic research and healthcare technologies, the Van Dynes are able to steer scientific advancements that align with an alleged Illuminati agenda of controlling population growth and manipulating human health. According to Springmeier, the Van Dynes push medical research toward technologies that can be used for surveillance, genetic manipulation, and even mind control. This is more than just influence over health. It's about steering humanity's future, deciding who thrives, who withers, and under what conditions. For Springmeier, the Van Dynes represent the Illuminati's hold over our physical and mental well-being, a chilling vision of control that transcends borders, governments, and even ethics. If there's one arena where the Illuminati's influence is most palpable, it's politics. According to Springmeier, controlling political figures isn't just about placing family members in office, it's about owning the game itself. The Illuminati allegedly achieved this through various strategies: funding campaigns, blackmail, and even psychological manipulation. Springmeier asserts that Illuminati families funnel millions into elections, backing candidates who are either part of the Bloodlines or sympathetic to their goals. But it's not just about money, it's about maintaining influence. Springmeier argues that they use scandals, leverage, and information warfare to ensure political loyalty. He suggests that the Illuminati even manipulate democratic processes, using gerrymandering, voting machine tampering, and disinformation to sway election outcomes. At the global level, Springmeier believes they embed operatives in international bodies like the United Nations, NATO, and the World Bank, wielding influence over treaties, trade policies, and humanitarian initiatives that align with the broader Illuminati agenda. According to Springmeier, politics isn't a battlefield, it's a puppet show, with the Illuminati's invisible hand guiding every move. Springmeier also sees the Illuminati's fingerprints all over the media and entertainment industry, using it as a tool to shape minds, influence opinions, and distract from more significant issues. Through ownership of major media corporations, Springmeier claims the Illuminati control the narratives that dominate the airwaves, steering public opinion to suit their purposes. According to him, this extends beyond news to movies, music, and even advertising, which are crafted to normalize Illuminati agendas and values. Springmeier also suggests that the Illuminati use celebrities as their unofficial messengers, figures whose influence on public perception can be profound. Whether it's through controversial stunts, politically charged statements, or even coded messages in music and films, Springmeier argues that these stars act as pawns, pushing ideas that subtly reinforce Illuminati priorities. The entertainment industry, in his view, is a psychological playground, a place where public opinion is sculpted and distracted, ensuring that people stay focused on surface issues rather than probing the deeper mechanics of power. When it comes to technology and military power, Springmeier believes the Illuminati have invested heavily, understanding that whoever controls technology controls the future. From surveillance tools to data collection, they allegedly use technology as an invisible net around society. The development of facial recognition, biometric databases, and data mining algorithms are seen by Springmeier as extensions of the Illuminati's agenda for surveillance and control. But it doesn't stop there. According to him, they wield influence over scientific research, directing funds toward projects that align with their goals, such as AI advancements, weaponized drones, and even cyber warfare. Springmeier suggests that the Illuminati are deeply embedded within tech giants and research institutions, ensuring that new technologies serve not the public, but the elite. In the military sphere, he claims they drive the development of autonomous weapons, sophisticated surveillance systems, and hacking technologies, effectively creating an arsenal of tools to maintain control. Through technology, Springmeier argues, the Illuminati can monitor, predict, and manipulate human behavior, ensuring that no one slips out of their grasp. So here we are, standing at the end of a labyrinth of power, wealth, and control that Springmeier calls the Illuminati. The journey through Bloodlines of the Illuminati paints a portrait of a world manipulated from the shadows, a world where elected leaders and public institutions serve not the people but an unseen empire. Whether you believe it or not, Springmeier's book invites you to look deeper, to question the structures of power that shape our lives in ways both overt and subtle. What if these bloodlines really do guide the world's destiny? What if the decisions affecting billions aren't driven by democratic principles, but by ancient allegiances and shadowy agendas? Whether you're ready to dig further or dismiss it all, one thing is certain: the value of asking questions is undeniable. Maybe the world is messier, more chaotic than Springmeier would have us believe. Or maybe, just maybe, there's an underlying order, a structure hidden in plain sight. If nothing else, this book is a call to sharpen our critical thinking, to examine who pulls the strings, and to stay vigilant. Because, after all, even if the Illuminati are a myth, the dangers of unchecked power and hidden influence are as real as ever. So as you move forward, keep asking, who really holds the reins of our reality? Thank you for journeying into the shadows with me. Remember, knowledge is power, but curiosity is its engine. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and let's never settle for the surface answers. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and keep digging.